Like mysterious lights out of the darkness of the unknown, or at least so they seem to us, the UFOs, the flying saucers. As real as they may appear at the time, they are nevertheless intangible illusions between fantasy and reality. Most scientists, however, remain skeptical. They speak mostly of unexplained phenomena, of optical illusions, or refer to the secret research carried out during the period of the Third Reich. A documentary of mystical stories. What's more, these phenomena are even mentioned in the German Armed Forces technical manuals. As a matter of fact, the world's first reported UFO sighting seemed to confirm this theory. On the 14th of December, 1944, Reuters reported in the New York Times, "A mysterious illuminated ball is the latest Nazi air warfare weapon. This means that towards the end of the Second World War, Germany was in possession of a secret weapon which displayed all the typical characteristics of a UFO." Our quest for German UFOs has been extremely difficult. We gathered together mysterious reports and stories, underground literature, photographs, sketches, and fragments of handwriting. And we tried to make contact with individuals who had been involved with the former secret societies Thule and Vril, as well as the Black Sun organization. One person we encountered would only say, "Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know." The first part of our puzzle took us to pre-First World War Vienna, where all sorts of esoteric, occult, and Sumerian ideas and material were circulating. Ideas which would later be taken up by the Third Reich, and with them the vision of a new and unconventional technology. It was a period which witnessed an enormous blossoming of various secret doctrines and orders: Templars and Rosicrucians, Illuminati and Freemasons, Anthroposophists, Theosophists, Neo-Templars and Armanen. Some of them seemed suddenly to have woken up after a centuries-long sleep. What had disturbed their slumber was this: the impending arrival of the prophesied New Age, the changeover from the age of Pisces to the Aquarian Age. Every one of these groups felt themselves called upon to make their mark on the approaching era. At the beginning, heretical theologians as well as Oriental, Nordic, and Atlantis scholars all worked in concert, fascinated by one goal: the new golden age. Transcending good and evil. From the beginning of time, this concept has triggered a conflict in the spiritual world, between light and darkness, between white and black magic, between occultism and wisdom. Our Earth and its spiritual dimensions, which are the thoughts of humanity, are the mirror of these conflicts. Each time every human being makes a decision, he is faced anew with the choice between two paths: the white road of unselfish love, or the black road of selfishness, which ineluctably leads to doctrine. Every individual who comes into contact with higher learning considers himself basically good. And yet, the two principles are still within him, obligating him to examine which thoughts and deeds he will use to serve which power. At the end of time, the twilight of the gods, he will realize that heaven and hell are our own thoughts and actions, good and evil our own invention. Then he can draw on this experience to make the journey home to completeness. The powers of darkness and light serve only one Lord, the creator of all things. They have the one goal of availing ourselves of the life experience to create a race of superior beings. Power without love can only lead to catastrophe. Back then, a young man came into contact with all these secret teachings in Vienna: Adolf Hitler. He read all the books and other literature he could find on these subjects. Hitler soon evolved a vision whereby he realized the world would have to be reforged to pave the way for a new age. The way was now marked out for the steps he would take. The sole power that seeks renewal and yet creates destruction. By the same token, this period would also see the development of positive knowledge, which would lead to the creation of a comprehensive technology. And once again, our search for clues in our quest for the alternative technology, supposedly responsible for the German UFOs, which would appear later, led us back to Vienna, to the year 1917. 4 men and a woman met here in the Viennese cafe Schopenhauer. The young Maria Ortiz, a spiritualistic medium from Zagreb, the student and fighter pilot Lothar Weitz, the occultist, orientalist, and officer Karl Haushofer, Rudolf von Sebottendorf, an occultist who had recently returned from the Orient, as well as Prelate Gernot from the Order of Knights Templar. Their subject was the coming of the New Age. They spoke of secret revelations, the Spear of Destiny, the magical violet black stone. They discussed the possibility of making transmedial contact with the ancient Germanic and Babylonian deities, Ishtar, Ostara, and Isais, and of communicating with distant worlds, not only on this side, but also on the other. It is quite likely that this coffeehouse meeting witnessed the birth of the secret Thule Society, which in turn later spawned the German National Socialist Party, the SS, Black Sun, and the Vril Society, which in its turn gave a foundation to the occult activities of the Third Reich and the new comprehensive technology. And the beginning of German UFOs. What was the secret behind it all? The invincible source of power for them was the Black Sun, an infinite beam of light which, although invisible to the human eye, was nevertheless there and very real. Just as the bright daylight sun can illuminate the exterior, so the dark sun can light up the soul of man. It illuminates the divine light. To this very day, the occult philosophy of the Third Reich is veiled under a thick cloud of mystery and secrecy. Its leaders were drawn from the ranks of the Thule Society and the SS. In many ways, their ideas differed significantly from the accepted National Socialist Party line. Their emblem was the Black Sun. A secret philosophy thousands of years old provided the foundation on which the occult practitioners of the Third Reich would later build. The Black Sun symbol can be found in many Babylonian and Assyrian places of worship. Even the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians knew of the symbol and the beliefs that it represented. The Babylonian and Assyrian civilizations often depicted the Black Sun, the Godhead's inner light, in the form of a cross. Assyrian kings wore an insignia which in no way differed from the one more commonly known as the German Knight's Cross. This means the origin of this cross is many thousands of years older than Christianity. We have no way of knowing just what exactly was going on in the minds of the occultists of the Third Reich, and to what mysterious ends their ideas would lead them. Perhaps they believed in the ancient prophecy of the New Babylon, which would rise again in some unspecified centrally located country when the third Sargon would return. The secret knowledge and the prophecies which the Knights Templar had brought back with them from the Orient had been slumbering for centuries, waiting for the time of fulfillment to approach. In 1919, von Sebottendorf joined with Karl Haushofer and Dietrich Eckart to form the Thule Society. This was to be a melting pot of various occult orders, with a network of connections throughout Germany. The center was to be in Munich. Many members of the Thule Society formed themselves in active opposition to the short-lived Socialist Republic of Bavaria. A political party was founded, and in 1921, Adolf Hitler, a man well known for his occult beliefs, was engaged as a political orator. Inspired by members of the Thule Society, Hitler's plan for a 1,000-year Reich was born. The increasing political ambitions of the Thule Society resulted in a number of smaller groups going their own way. One of these groups was the Vril Society. Towards the end of 1919, a select group of people, members of both the Thule and Vril Societies, met in an old hunting lodge near Berchtesgaden. Taking a prominent part in the proceedings for the first time was Dr. H.O. Schumann, a man whose area of expertise would today be called alternative energy. Nevertheless, the leading figure was the medium Maria Ortisch. A second medium was also present on this occasion, the 18-year-old Sigrun. Maria Ortisch presented texts she had received from her spirit medium, one in the Sumerian alphabet and the other in the secret code of the Knights Templar. Both texts had already been translated. Were they messages from the gods, or tidings from some alien civilization? Construction plans for the development of some new advanced technology which would enable mankind to reach for the stars? From now on, the members of the Vril Society devoted themselves wholeheartedly to the realization of what must be one of the most bizarre ideas that ever occurred to the mind of man: the construction of a time machine that would transport them to the realms of the beyond and bring them face to face with the gods themselves. We don't know just exactly how far they got with their machine. The experiments carried out lasted almost 2 years. What we can say for certain is that the machine was the inspiration behind the Vril levitation power unit. At the beginning of 1924, the machine was dismantled and taken to Augsburg in southern Germany for storage, perhaps to the Messerschmitt aircraft factory. As a member of the Thule Society, Rudolf Hess gave a number of lectures and was, among others, one of the people responsible for the early encouragement this new technology was accorded. In all things, we are able to recognize two principles which decide upon matter and events: light and darkness, good and evil, creation and destruction. These two principles, the creative and the destructive, determine our technical means. Another advocate of this new technology was Victor Schauberger. Your propulsion theory is a mistake. This statement was made by inventor Victor Schauberger, who was believed to be associated with these esoteric societies. It addresses one of the essential points of the issue. Nowadays, we would call this the search for an alternative form of energy. Back then, however, there was much more at stake. Namely, the quest for another science, a radically different technology. To put it simply, we could say implosion instead of explosion. The positive elements among the esoteric scholars of the Third Reich were aware that all divine creations have always been creative, never destructive. A technology which results in explosions and is based on the principle of destruction cannot therefore really be in keeping with divine intentions. All internal combustion engines, for example, whether piston engines or rocket propulsion systems, work on the principle of an explosion. In other words, with destructive capabilities. Their ultimate effect is sure to be destructive. The environmental damage meanwhile visited on the planet by the technology of explosion, including atomic energy, exhaust fumes, and so on, makes it quite clear that the call for a new technology, like the one under discussion back then, is clearly justified. Victor Schauberger's experimental flying prototypes worked on the principle of levitation. Esoteric knowledge played an ever-increasing role in the search for new sources of energy and motive power. Such research as there was particularly important in the development of electrogravitational and tachometric propulsion. This seemed to be at the very core of the alternative technology. the energy source of the future, cheap, clean, and independent of raw materials. Two special departments, U-13 and SSE-4, were set up to concentrate exclusively on the realization of this new technology.
Die Intuition Johannes Keplers führte ihn zu dem Geheimwissen der Pythagoreer.
Johannes Kepler introduced him to the secrets of Pythagoras. Victor Schauberger's vibratory theories tied in with the traditional teachings of Pythagoras and Johannes Kepler. The monochord, an acoustic measuring instrument used by Pythagoras, demonstrates to us how the universe was created using sounds, which we obtain through a division of the sides. The entire universe was created using this principle of harmonic resonance.
Nach dem Prinzip der Obertonreihe ist der ganze Kosmos aufgebaut. Ganzzahlige Verhältnisse, Proportionen bestimmen den Aufbau der Materie. Auch im Weltall und in den Atomen. Das chemische Periodensystem der Elemente, die Mendelschen Vererbungsgesetze, die Blattstellungsgesetze, bei den Pflanzen auch der Aufbau der Kristalle und so weiter. Überall, wo wir mathematische Strukturen, Proportionen haben, kommen wir auf das Grundprinzip des Monochords, die Obertonreihe. Victor Schauberger benutzte die Mathematik des Monochords, um seine integrale Technik und seine Lehre von den inneren Welten, von den Schwingungen der inneren Welten zu entwickeln und auszubauen. Übrigens, seine Mathematik ist nicht euklidisch. Die Geheimlehre der Pythagoreer wurde von den Templerorden übernommen, aufbewahrt und überliefert. Und Victor Schauberger hat sich dieses Wissen zunutze gemacht, um seine integrale Technik zu entwickeln und ist so zur Implosion gekommen. Anhand des Energieplans der Natur sehen Sie hier das Alpha und Omega, den Grundton bis zu den Obertönen bis hinauf zum letzten Ton, so wie das ganze Universum aufgebaut ist. Alpha
Symbolically,
und Omega
Alpha and Omega
stehen symbolisch
spirit
für
and matter.
Geist und Materie.
Therefore, what we have here is something
Also haben wir
whole.
hier es mit
This
etwas
knowledge therefore makes an
Ganzheitlichem zu tun.
all-embracing science possible.
Diese Lehre macht daher
Implosion
auch
is the
die
utilization of the
ganzheitliche
potential of the
Technik
inner
möglich.
universe within the outer universe.
Implosion ist die Nutzbarmachung des
Due to the forces of energy
Potenzials
and
der
evolutionary
inneren
science,
Welten in
we've
der
been able to
äußeren
make
Welt.
great strides in the field of antimatter,
Anhand der
and with it do
Energiebahnen
away with the
und der
effects of gravity.
Implosionstechnik gelangen wir in den Bereich der Antimaterie und damit zur Aufhebung der Schwerkraft.
Im Juni 1934 wurde mein Vater von Reichskanzler Adolf Hitler
In June 1934, my father was invited by the Reichschancellor Adolf Hitler to discuss his work. Hitler wanted to know about his discoveries and talk about the various possibilities and what his great plan was. And he said, yes, I'm looking for a new technology which must once again harmonize with the natural order of things. And that is my real program.
Mein Programm. Kurz vor dem Eintreffen der beiden Reichsbeauftragten
Shortly before the meeting, Hitler, as Reichschancellor, gave the two deputies his orders. The two had come to discuss Hermann Göring's plan.
An die zwei Reichsbeauftragten vom Hermann Göring Plan. Herr Victor Schauberger, Sie werden das
And he
mit den
said,
beiden Herren
Herr Victor
besprechen.
Schauberger, you will speak with the
Und
two
morgen
Reichs
oder
deputies,
spätestens
and
übermorgen
tomorrow, or by the
wird ein
latest the day
zweites
after
Gespräch
tomorrow,
stattfinden
a second
müssen.
meeting will take place.
Und
And he said to the
sagte
two
den beiden
deputies,
Reichsbeauftragten,
I find the plan
der Plan
fascinating.
ist für mich
Yes, we Germans will bring about a
faszinierend.
whole new science.
Wir Deutschen werden eine Biotechnik in Szene bringen.
Socialist Party came to power, the occult societies withdrew into the background. Within the SS, the Thule Society created a separate secret organization called the Black Sun. The Vril Society carried on much as before with its scientific research. According to reports, the